Hi guys, this is Shakti from Around the Wicket, where we not only speak about the game, but we try to learn more about the humans behind our sport. Now, no one in world cricket made the wide-brimmed sun hat more famous than our guest today, with over 12,000 international runs, including 21 centuries for the West Indies. Sir Richie Richardson, thank you so much for joining me on Around the Wicket.
Shakti, it's a pleasure of mine to be joining you. I learned that word many years ago. That means power. So Shakti,
sure
power to you, man.
Thank you so much, Sir Richie.
Yeah.
Antigua is a beautiful place, synonymous to some rich cricketing history. Could you tell us more about your early days in your country before we start talking about cricket?
Well, cricket was always part of our livelihood. As youngsters, we played either cricket or football. We played 6 months of cricket and 6 months of football. So during the cricket season, we would play cricket every opportunity we get. If we're going to school, we'll play before we go to school. We'll play during break time. We get back to school early so we can play before the school restarts. And then after school, we get home. Sometimes before we do our homework, we'll be playing cricket again. And on summer holidays, we play cricket, almost all day. So cricket has been very much part of our development in the West Indies. Every youngster, including young girls, would play cricket with us. We'd play on the streets. We'd play in the backyard. We'd play on the beaches, just wherever we could put up something for a wicket. We'll make our own bats. We would improvise. And we would just play. It could even be two persons. We'd be playing. We also used to play a format of the game called Pushan, where we would bat on one knee, and that was very exciting. We also used to play another format called one tip, which means that once you hit the ball, you've got to run. So you basically got to play shots. So you weren't allowed to play defensively, or else you're going to get run out. So maybe that's one of the reasons why West Indian players are so aggressive, because we used to play that game a hell of a lot. But yes, as I said, all youngsters play the game, and of course we didn't get a chance to see international cricket back in the day, but we used to listen to transistor radio. So once West Indies is playing somewhere, everyone would be glued to a transistor radio, paying attention. They would stop doing what they're doing and just pay attention to what was going on. Everybody getting excited and stuff like that. So yes, cricket was very much in our veins. It's very part of us. Everyone was passionate about it. People who played the game, the fans, whenever their team was playing, they would be very exciting about it. And it was just like a religion. It was just very much part of our lives.
Yeah, and tell us about some of those times. 70s, late 70s is where West Indies dominated cricket across the globe.
Well, the cricket was highly competitive. If you played in the regional tournament, it was seriously competitive. And every team had at least 2 or 3 fast bowlers, at that time. And it was very aggressive, competitive cricket. And the fans used to get involved as well. And everybody wanted to see aggression. They wanted to see a guy bowl as fast as possible. They wanted to see, bouncers being bowled. They want to see the ball being hit out of the park. They wanted to see the fastest bowler bowl bounces and also be taken on by the best batsmen. And it was always that rivalry. And because you have so many fans who would turn up to these regional matches and to be there supporting their team and want to see the excitement. I mean, if you went to Barbados, the Leeward Islands where we're from went to Barbados, you have batsmen like myself, Sir Viv, who are going to take on Malcolm Marshall, Joel Garner, and the Bajans want that. They want to see that competition. And I mean, if Malcolm Marshall bounced to me and I hit him for 6 days, I mean, they'll be out of their seats. They'll be excited. They just wanted to see exciting cricket. And on the field of play, we were aggressive. I mean, after play, we were all good. But once we were on that field of play, it was like war. You would never believe that, friends would be playing against friends when we were actually playing out there. But it was exciting cricket. It was very competitive cricket. It was of a very high standard. And even when touring teams toured the West Indies then, they would have difficulties beating some of the regional teams.
It's like cricketing gold listening to this. Normally you see Sir Viv or Malcolm Marshall all in the same team. So yourself, you made your international debut against India. Things didn't go to plan. Your luggage was stolen. You mostly got to face net bowlers, and then in your first innings you did not score, did not get off the mark. How was that international experience?
Well, my first to India was a cultural shock for me. Traveling out of the Caribbean for the first time and experiencing the Indian culture. Obviously, playing in various conditions, different wickets.
Yeah,
We were never accustomed to seeing wickets that would spin as much as those wickets did. So it was tough, but you quickly had to make an adjustment.
yeah,
And I was there, and I think I was sick very early on, for about a week or two. But I quickly realized, look, it's never going to be easy. This is Test cricket. You're playing at the highest level, and you've got to really dig deep and find a way of establishing yourself and making your way. So losing the suitcase didn't bother me too much. You spoke about not getting as much practice as I would like. What happened back then? We didn't have as many net bowlers like they have today, like teams have today. So what happens? The bowlers in the team used to bowl, and occasionally the batsmen would help out as well. So by the time my turn come to bat, the bowlers will be tired. So, but it was, I never really complained. It happened, but I never complained. I found ways of trying to get as much practice as possible. And
yeah,
when I actually did make my debut in Bombay, the first innings, I was out for a duck. And I said to myself, the fashion I was given out, I couldn't believe it. So I said to myself, well, look, this is international cricket. Welcome to international cricket. And I think I'm gonna enjoy it.
yeah,
Second innings, I went out and I played a few shots. I was on 26 when I get out to, I think, was a long hop, and it was difficult. But I made a decision that, look, it's not going to be easy, and I'm going to have to dig deep. I got dropped after that Test match. Then I came to the Caribbean. I think we were playing against Australia.
yeah,
The first two Test matches I played, I failed 2 innings. Those days we never used to bat. We never used to regularly bat 2 innings. So I think I might have batted 2 innings and failed. And then the third Test match, I was actually dropped. I wasn't supposed to play, but Gus Logie wasn't feeling well on the morning of the Test match. So I was drafted in, and I said to myself, look, I'm not going to be dropped again. I'm
yeah,
going to seize this opportunity. And I was a little bit rusty, but I was very determined, and I went out there and I curbed my style. I dug in, I grafted, and I really established myself because I was determined. I said to myself, I had to get 100.
yeah,
And I got 100, and I went on to get another 100 in Antigua, a big 100 in front of my home crowd. And then our next series was to England, and I didn't play in the first Test match there, understandably, because I was very young, very inexperienced. Only played a couple of Test matches, and playing in those foreign conditions was something new for me.
yeah,
And so Larry Gums came back in instead of me. So I said to myself, look, I just got to keep working hard, even though I scored 2 consecutive hundreds. I also didn't have the experience, and I wasn't scoring a hell of a runs in the warm-up games. So Larry Gums came in, and I said to myself, look, I just got to keep working hard and wait for the next opportunity.
yeah. So tell us about those 200s. You scored 140, 131 in Barbados, and then 154 at Antigua. Where those two innings, what made you realize that you can match it up in international cricket against these teams and amongst your players?
I believe I had it in me before that. Before I played for the West Indies, I always wanted to play for the West Indies.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, look, once I got the opportunity, I'm gonna, because when I first had the ambition to play for the West Indies, I said to myself, I want to be like the greats. I wanted to represent, and I wanted to be great. I just didn't want to represent. I wanted to be represented in a very positive way and do great things for my team. So once I got the opportunity, I knew I had to work hard, dig deep to in order to do what I wanted to do. So I believe I had it in me, and I just had to dig in once I got the opportunity. So when I got the first opportunity in Barbados, we had to work really, really hard for that 100. And the second 100 in Antigua was a lot easier because I was playing in front of a home crowd on a wicket that I knew, and I was a little bit more confident, and I was a lot more fluent. I was more like my old self, playing a lot of shots, hooking and spear cutting and stuff like that. But I realized from very early that life was never going to be easy. You have to work hard. You'll have ups and downs, and when you have downs, that's the time to dig even deeper. So whenever I was left out of any team, I never got upset. I never blame anybody for that. I blame
Yeah.
myself for probably not working harder. So I would go and work a bit harder, spend more time in the nets, do a lot more thinking, ask more questions to try and get my opportunity again.
In the 80s, some great players in your team. How was it sharing the dressing room with those great players? Obviously, you'll get times of competition and sometimes times of frustration to get into the team. But in terms of just sharing the dressing room and space with them, what was the biggest learning experience for you?
Well, firstly, when I joined the team, it was unbelievable. It was like, being trusted into a heaven of stars. It just was unbelievable that you'd be in the same dressing room with greats like Clive Lloyd, Vivian Richards, Malcolm Marshall, Gordon Greenidge, all these great guys, But I quickly realized that I had to get my feet in the ground and in order to stay there with them and do what they do, I had to really start doing what they have been doing. So initially, it was just tough. I was in awe. But once I sort of like got accustomed to the dressing room, it was tough because the standards were very high. You had to train hard. Everything that we did was of a very high standard. And as soon as you let up in some area, somebody will be there pulling you up. Not necessarily a captain, but another player will be pulling you up because very high standards were set. We had a very work ethic was at a very high level, and you just had to train, you had to work hard, and everything was about team. You had to do it for the team, and it was highly professional. Everything we did was very professional, and it was all about winning, all about doing what is required of you as an individual in terms of your contribution to the team.
And on a personal level, one of your most inspiring, I guess, or influential innings was against an Indian team, where you scored 99 against Indian lineup that had coupled there, Narendra Hirwani and Chetan Sharma in 1989 at Port of Spain. Would you classify that as, one of your most
I lost a bit, but I believe
yeah,
that innings in Trinidad was one of my most special innings. Mainly because one, I had an injury to one of my fingers, and I couldn't hold the bat. And I didn't think that I was able to play. So I went to the captain, Viv, and I said to him, "Look, Skip, I can't really hold the bat. If I try to hit the ball, there's so much pain." And he said to me, "Look, you good Nick, and we need you. If Vivian Richards want me to play, who am I to say I'm not playing? So if he has the faith in me, then I'm not going to let him down." So there, and every shot straight back, I was in excruciating pain. Also, the wicket was very bad. It was very difficult to bat on. So I didn't think that I would have lasted, considering my injury and considering the state of the wicket, and also considering the opposition who were bowling against us. The top class bowlers were bowling. But I went out there and I decided I was just going to bat and play for the team. I wasn't prepared to play a lot of shots because it was very difficult whenever I played a shot. Even when I played a defensive shot, I was in a lot of pain. But I went out there and I grafted. We lost some early wickets. Gus Logie came in there, and Gus Logie was one of my really close teammates at the time. And, we just keep talking to each other, and we just keep saying, let us stay. So, and then when I look around, I was in the 90s. And that's when I started to say, well, I could get 100 here. I started thinking about it,
Yeah.
And then when I actually got ball, I think Papa Lev bowled me delivery. Up to this day, I do not know where the ball passed. I mean, I knew the ball pitched outside leg stump or maybe just about leg stump. So I said to myself, this is an easy 100. Because pitch on leg stump, I'm just going to make sure I just work it into the onside for a single, and that would be my 100. But then I heard a funny sound, and I realized I missed the ball. And I didn't know what happened. And someone in the slip caught the ball and threw it back at the stump. So I was confused, But then I suddenly realized I must have been bowled. And I didn't get 100, but that innings, because of the difficulties that I had, I rated that innings very highly.
That's awesome, Sir Richie. Tell us about the sun hat. When did that come about, and why did you feel so uncomfortable wearing a helmet?
Well, when back in the day, we didn't have helmets around, so I never had the opportunity to use a helmet, to practice in a helmet. When I started playing for the West Indies and the helmets were introduced, I did try to wear a helmet, and I was just so uncomfortable. I even tried wearing it, feeling close to the bat, and I just couldn't cope with it. I felt vulnerable. I couldn't always see the ball because the ball would sometimes be lost in the visor or the grill, and I always want to have my eyes on the ball all the way. So I decided, look, I'm gonna back my reflexes and my eyesight and just go through without the helmet. I did wear the helmet towards the end of my career because I realized that, look, I was coming to the end, and I said to myself, it would be real unfortunate if I got injured. So I decided I would wear a helmet. But the hat came about when we went to India. I don't remember the year, to play in a tournament sponsored by, I think, MRF.
Yeah.
And so we were given colored clothing, and also we were given these maroon hats. Of course, they looked really, really ugly, and everybody threw theirs into the rubbish bin because we weren't accustomed to wearing colors, and colored. Everybody were accustomed to the white or the off-white fluffy hats, and that's what they wanted to wear. So I actually did threw mine in the bin as well, but then I was looking at it, and something came to me and said, look, maybe I could do something. I could change how it looks and start wearing it and just start a trend. So I collected back mine, and then sometime after, I met up with a good friend of mine, Mr. Haider from AJ Sports in Pakistan. So I took the hat to him and said, look, nobody likes to wear colored hats, but I think we could start something here and I've already been thinking about marketing and stuff like that. So I asked him if we could redesign it to my liking. So he said, yes, anything you want, we could do for you. So, we came up with a slightly broader brim. And then he told me about this material that he has in it, that he could put in it to make it sort of like doesn't crumble. And so he used that special material in it. And we also made the cup a little deeper so it would fit more snugly around your head. And that is why it hardly ever came off my head. So, and it just so happened that I started doing really, really well, scoring a lot of runs, wearing that hat. So everybody associated my form, my run scoring to that floppy hat, and that's how that hat became really, really famous.
Now, there was a lot of controversy when you became captain, because obviously the great Sir Viv Richards, had to be moved on. Tell us about that period and that moment in your life. What did you learn about your captaincy as well in that?
Well, I at that time I was at the peak of my performances at the matches, so that's what I was focusing on. Viv had retired. Desmond Haynes was the vice captain, and everyone thought that Desmond Haynes naturally would have gotten the captaincy. I thought Desmond Haynes would have gotten the captaincy. Of course, he was my roommate for most of our tours, so we had an excellent relationship, and I was looking forward after Viv decided he was going to retire to playing on the Desmond Haynes because it was sort of the individual that he was. But then I got a call from West Indies Cricket Board. And I was in shock because I never really. And they asked me if I would be interested, and I didn't know what to say because I thought, well, Desmond Haynes would get it, And they said seriously they would like me to consider. So I told them, well, give me some time to think about it. Then I called my manager, best friend back in Antigua, Victor Michael, and he said, look, it's a great honor, and you have to take it. You can't turn down the captaincy of your country. So I did feel a little bad for Desmond Haynes, but I took my manager's advice. And when I spoke to the Western Cricket Board again, I told him, yes, I would go along with it. Of course, Desmond Haynes was not happy, and a lot of people weren't happy. A lot of senior players in the team weren't happy, and understandably so. But I have to say that Desmond Haynes, up to today, I have the utmost respect for him because he still supported me 100%. He never showed me any dissent. He was always there for me, and that's the sort of character that he is. But what I learned early on was that obviously it was going to be very difficult for me to walk in the footsteps of Viv, preceded by Clive Lloyd. But I realized that I would have to do things my way. And also at the same time, we had lost a lot of great players. So
Yep.
what I said to the team that look, we might not have great players like Gordon Greenidge, Vivian Richards, Joel Garner, but if we apply ourselves and work hard and be smart, we can still bring about good performances like they did. And
Yep.
that was our approach really, just to go there, back ourselves and give all that we have for the team and for our country. And when we started out, we did pretty well. The performances were pretty good.
Yep.
Led mainly by Curtly, Ambrose, and Courtney Walsh in the bowling department. Brian Lara was emerging. We had Carl Hooper, we had Phil Simmons, Keith Arterton, and we held our own. We held our own, and I got tremendous support from the team members, from the bowlers, from Courtney Walsh in particular, who was my vice captain. And I learned as I went along, and
Yep.
it was a tremendous experience for me, which I would never ever regret.
And how has things changed, in terms of cricket playing in, during your times from the 80s and 90s, early 90s to what it is right now?
Well, we didn't have T20 cricket back then. I wish they did, because I think I would have enjoyed it. But the game has changed a lot. You have teams. Well, when I started playing for the West Indies, there was Clive Lloyd, and we had a trainer slash physiotherapist. Now, some teams, the support staff is bigger than the actual playing squad. So there's a lot more support.
Yep.
You have several coaches, you have doctors, dietitians, psychoanalysts, all sorts of support. So that adds to the overall development of teams and how they perform. They have more access to video recordings, more data, and it's just much more advanced now, and it's much more scientific from in terms of the approach and the access that the players have. Also, facilities are better, so players are more comfortable traveling. Players travel business class, whereas we used to travel economy, usually the back of aircraft. We used to share rooms. Now each player has his own room, but there's just a lot more support for the players. They have a lot more support, and they're able to focus more on what they have to do with the job at hand. But still, having said that, I would not trade my era for this era, because what I enjoyed back then is the camaraderie between teams. We used to socialize more after, at the end of a match, we would, or if it's a test match and the end of each day's play, we would exchange visits to dressing rooms, have a little chat, have a little drink, a beer or so. And after the match, we'll do that and then have exchange and talk about cricket. And for young players in particular, you learn a lot talking to older players and players from other opposite teams and stuff like that. And even though there was tremendous rivalry, there was also really good camaraderie between teams, and I think that was great. But also there was a lot more interaction with the fans. We were able to interact more with the fans, even socialize more with the fans, sign more autographs and stuff. But now, for security reasons, you're not even it's very difficult for you to even touch the fans or have a chat with the fans or be close to the fans. So it's all different. But the game has advanced. A lot of things have changed, and I think a lot of things are better and better for the game.
Now, talking about the current West Indies team, I know it's unfair to always compare, West or eras or West Indies teams of the past. They did well in the first Test match, but what do the current team need to do to get better, firstly, and also secondly, to one day compete against the best of the world?
Well, I don't think it's what the current team needs to do. It's what our entire cricket needs to do. What needs to happen within our system in order to make a difference. It was nice to see the way the team played in the first Test, and it's very inspiring. So they've got to keep going. But at the end of the day, and I've said it many times, we've got to really look at this at the structure of a cricket. We have to redevelop the a cricketing culture that is strong, that has confidence. That's you know, and that's not easy to do. It's not easy to do, and it's you know, it's gonna take a long time, in my opinion, to get things right, because you have to focus mainly on the grassroots of our cricket. You know, have all the right development programs, advanced programs. We have to give our youngsters exposure as much as possible so they can learn and develop at a very early age. One of the challenges we have in the Caribbean is that because we are a small nation, we struggle economically. So that's one of our struggles. But you know, I believe the world is a round place, and we just got to keep plugging away. I believe talent is naturally embedded in our genes, so we will always be able to play the game. We will always produce really talented players, but we just have to build a solid foundation and develop a very strong cricketing culture in order for us to dominate again, or at least be a lot more competitive. I think the world wants that. The world wants to see West Indies cricket at the forefront again. And even if we do not dominate the way we did, like in the 80s, just at least to be a little bit more competitive, to be maybe in the top 2, 3, it would be good. And that is something that we should all strive for in the West Indies. Of course, as a match referee, I'm supposed to be a neutral person here, but at the end of the day, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I love the game of cricket. I support all cricket. I just want to see the game grow. I'm happy with the way cricket is today, the standard of play. You know, with the work that ICC is doing around the world, promoting the game and trying to globalize the game, you know, getting the game to all corners, you know, kudos to the ICC, and that's what it's all about. That's what I stand for. I want to see cricket become as globalized as football, as soccer. And I think it can happen, you know, with India being a very powerful country in world cricket, and if you can get cricket to be very popular in China, then man, you've got it, you know. So yes, you know, we just want to see the game keep growing.
So on a personal level, you know, what's planned for yourself? You already talked about being part of the ICC Elite Panel as a match referee. But away from cricket, you know, what's planned for you? I know everything's in the air due to COVID, but
yeah, I mean, once COVID is sorted, I'm looking forward to going back to work as a match referee with the ICC. I look forward to doing that for a few more years. I see myself for the rest of my life continuing to support the game in whatever form or fashion. At this stage, focusing mainly on match refereeing. I still do some motivational speaking with youngsters whenever I get the opportunity. Also qualified coach, so I can see myself doing some coaching mainly with youngsters when I'm finished with the ICC. And I will continue to be part of the game. I would continue to support the game because, as I said, I want to see the game develop. I want to see the game become a truly global sport. And anything that I can do to assist, not just in the West Indies, but globally, I'll be more than happy to do so. So that's my goal. On a personal level, I myself and Curtly Ambrose, we have a band. So whenever I get the opportunity, I would play with them, and I would love to continue playing with them. And hopefully, we're looking to do an album pretty soon. Hopefully, we can produce something good that can be out there in the world. You never know. But I love music. Music is very much part of my life. So I have that to fall back on as well. But other than that, I just want to be involved with the game. And I can see myself after working with ICC as a match referee, probably going into coaching.
Not planning to do any Dancing with the Stars like Sir Curtly does.
No, I don't want to show him up, man. I don't want to. I don't want to. Yeah, that was very, very amusing, you know. But you know, he did well. You know, I think he represented us well, and he enjoyed it, which was the most important thing. He was really into it, and it was really nice to see him because, you know, Curtly, it's very difficult to get him to do certain things, and even playing in the band. He does a lot of singing now, and he's coming more and more out of his shell, and he's more of a showman now. So you know, he's really good. I'm really proud of the stride that he's made with our band. You know, so
Yeah, yeah.
just hoping that we can just keep going. Hopefully we can do a tour to Australia one day.
Yeah, yeah, of course. We'll look forward to seeing you here. What a cricketer Sir Curtly was as well. I've just got some rapid fire questions if you're okay with that, Sir Richie.
Yeah, shoot.
Who is
If they're
your
too quick,
favorite?
I'll just bob and weave and duck. You know?
Yeah, who is your favorite cricketer currently?
Oh, currently, from a batting point of view, I love to see Kohli bat. The way he takes control, he's a complete player. He plays spin equally well, and he backs himself very, very confident. And when he's going, he's a beauty to watch.
Yeah,
So I really like Kohli. So Kohli would be another player that I really love to bat. Now, there are some other players I like watching.
yeah,
A lot of people will be surprised, but Steve Smith of Australia, he's very unorthodox. And I know a lot of people don't like to see his style, but you know, I'm amused by the way he bats. And he's very, very difficult to bowl to because
yeah,
of his technique. It looks unorthodox. It might not look as elegant, but he's very effective. He watches the ball really, really closely, right onto the bat, and he's a sort of player that digs in there, and he has a very strong mind, and always
yeah.
believe that he can score runs. So I like his approach to batting. In terms of bowling, at the moment. You know, there are a number of really top bowlers out there, but I guess I'm being a little bit biased because I'm a batsman. I'm just going to stick with those two batsmen for now.
No worries. Second question is, who was the best bowler you faced up to in your playing days?
Outside of the West Indies, I think Wasim Akram is the best fast bowler I've played against. From spinner's point of view, well, when I played against Shane Warne, he wasn't as great as he turned out to be. He was young, up and coming, and I think getting my wicket was also an inspiration to him. But you know, well, yeah, but yeah, he's truly world class. But
Yep.
when I played against him, he was just up and coming. So I think for me, the most mystical spinner that I've played against was Abdul Qadir of Pakistan.
Yep. Yep. Question number 3: who was the most competitive cricketer you encountered?
So Vivian Richards. I've never come across a more competitive individual than him
Yep.
in whether it's sport, whatever. You know, he's just so highly competitive, and he always backs himself 100%. You know, if he's in the field and somebody's sneaking around out, he know that he's gonna get a good bounce, and the
Yeah.
ball is gonna end up in his hand. He's gonna hit
Yeah.
those stumps, and he's gonna run at that person. When he's batting, doesn't matter who is bowling. You know, he's so confident. He backs himself, and I can tell you something. I owe a lot of my runs to him because I started out batting at number 3. Well, he was at number 3, and then he went down so that I could come in.
Mm.
So we would often meet up in the wicket, and many times I would be out there struggling, can't get the bowling away. And as soon as Viv came to the wicket, all of a sudden the bowling became very, very easy. So I owe him, you know, for a lot of the runs that I got. It's because of him, and it goes to show that how, you know, fearful bowlers were of him. You know, when he arrived at the crease, you know, it was all about him. He would just take over any situation, any difficult situation. He would just take over. And also, when he hit a record-breaking century here in Antigua and Barbuda, I also take credit for that because I was out there really, really struggling against Embry and some of the bowlers, and he was so upset. He was upset to the point that when I got out and he passed me on the way, he was puffing, hopping, and you know, he didn't even bounce me, and he was so angry. And he went out there and he just started smashing the ball all over the park. So I take credit for that century.
Next question is, what is the funniest sledge you have received?
Well, for some reason, you know, I have not had sledges, too many sledges leveled at me. Certainly none that I can remember. I can remember one that I thought was a bit funny. It wasn't leveled at me. I was batting with Gus Logie in Australia. I can't remember if it was a test match or a one-day match, and Rodney Hogg was bowling at the time. And the wicket had in some juice, and you know, he was getting some movement. So Gus Logie edge, played forward edge, went through slips 4. Rodney Hogg was angry, fuming, walked back to his mark, running. Similar delivery, edge, through slips, 4 more runs. And I think the third time, same thing happened again. And he was so frustrated, and he was right down the wicket, right in front of Logie's face. And he expressed some words to Gus Logie, which I can't repeat. You so-and-so, little so-and-so. And then the Gus Logie just looked back at him and said, "Thank you," with a nice smile. And Rodney Hogg was so upset he couldn't say anything. He just turned around and just walked even faster back to his and I thought that was so funny. But I can't recall any real, you know, sledging.
Directed at you. Yeah. Who was your funniest teammate in the dressing room?
Desmond Haynes, by a long way. Desmond Haynes, a serious man. But every team meeting that we have, I would make sure that I'm sat next to him, because once the meeting is over, once we've gotten over all the serious business, Desmond Haynes would come in with something. I mean, he would start out being serious and like he's contributing seriously to the meeting, but he would take over and we would all end on a very happy note, with, you know, with some funny stories and stuff like that. He was one of the funniest persons that I know. Yes, Desmond Haynes, I would say, is the funniest.
What is your most favorite cricketing moment?
Well, certainly, I was very excited when I got the call and when I actually played my first test match, because it was always my goal from since I was maybe 7 or 8 years old to play for the West Indies. So I was really ecstatic when that happened. But when I scored my first century in Barbuda, so 131, I think it was not out. That proved to me that, look, I've arrived. I can do it.
Yep.
To score a century, you know, in my 4th test match, I think in as many innings, I believe, against a great team, an Australian team. You know, if I could do that, I said, well, look, I've got it in me. I've arrived, and I'm not going to look back. So that was a very, very, very special moment for me. I remember when I was going to school, playing for combined school team, my coach, Guy Wood, said to me, I used to get a lot of, half centuries, a lot of 50s, 60s, 80s, and wouldn't go on to get 100. I remember him saying to me, nobody's going to recognize a 50 or 60 or 80. They're only going to recognize 100. And the day he said that to me, almost every time after that, once I passed 50, it was 100.
What is one message that you will pass on to any young kids who are willing to take up the sport of cricket?
Well, the sky is the limit. There are lots of opportunities out there for you to represent your country, travel the world, and be a superstar. So you just gotta really, firstly, you gotta want it, and you gotta be prepared to work hard, practice hard, you know, ask a lot of questions, listen to your coaches, listen to your teachers, listen to your parents, make the right decision, be smart, be committed, and you can achieve a lot of great things in this wonderful game that we all love so much.
Excellent, Sir Richie. Thank you so much for joining me on Around the Wicket. Really, really, really wonderful to hear, you know, stories of the great West Indies dominance at one period, and now, and when you were captain, a period of transition as well. Appreciate your time on Around the Wicket. Hopefully we can chat soon further, and all the best with this year. Hopefully you're back on as a match referee very soon, and enjoy the lovely weather of Antigua, which I can see in the background.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Nice meeting you online, and I look forward to seeing you after COVID sometime.
Absolutely, and hopefully you'll
come down to Australia. And
yeah, with your band.
Shakti power.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Richie.
Yes, well, yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice.